Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone, it's 1010 the Navigator here with.
Hey, it's RatX. Oh damn, I'm not RatX anymore. I said RatX, didn't I? Yeah, it's
But
the
that's what
one,
I
the only
call you all
Alcor
the
Star.
time.
Yeah,
Do
you do.
you want me to redo it?
No, no, just let
Okay.
it play. It's the Alcor Star Child here. But she still calls me RatX, and
I
sometimes
do.
I call her. What do I call you? It really you hate it when I say that. Tech support.
Yeah. Well, somebody has to support you, so.
Yes. Well, you're the only person I can really talk to that really understands most of the stuff that I'm talking about. And you're the only other person that I talk to that does research, right? Like I'll talk about something like what were we talking about earlier? We were talking about something and then you're like, oh yeah, and you're like, and I looked into this and this and this, and I was like, and I'm thinking, wow, because you always find things that I didn't find, you look into the research too.
I
And that's why
do.
you understand everything. And the people that we try to share the information with, the humans and stuff, they won't look into it. Like they'll listen to the videos, I think, and they'll just have things that they agree with and disagree with, and then they just go away and that's it. And it's like, no, you have to invest the time into looking into it. If you look into the 1972 phenomenon, then it's a thing that you can't unsee. It's one of those
Yeah.
things, you
Right.
know.
What is it? You gonna sing the song 72?
Oh yeah.
72.
Did you like that song?
Yeah, I like that song.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's your anthem. It should be your anthem
Yeah,
now.
I thought about putting that out as my main page video.
Hmm.
That song with like a bunch of like flashes of things that happened in 1972. I'm like, this would be perfect.
It would
I'm
be.
I'm debating between that, using that song, and or using the soundtrack from the movie The Knowing, when he's finding all these dates and he's figuring everything out. He's figuring out all those dates, and he's, because at first you see it and everybody sees that movie and they say, oh, it's numerology. It has nothing to do with numerology. It has to do with dates like a
Right.
birthday. You're going to say you celebrate somebody's birthday because you're a numerologist. That's absurd. These are
Hmm.
all dates. And then the other numbers that he finds are locations.
Yeah.
So that's really what the movie's about. It's about dates and locations. And as he's figuring that out, there's like this ominous sounding music of this like hurry up type sound that's just really like it draws you in. And then all of a
Hmm.
sudden at the end, he sees that 10/27, which was the day that his wife died, which
Yep.
is also 172 day and the day my son was born. So that's why I was like, oh, maybe I should use that song. I don't know. But anyhow,
Maybe
when are you
it
gonna
would be
put up
nice if
a
we could use both, but. Hmm?
you got to put up an intro video because you still don't have one.
No. Oh, you can't see one on my page?
Did you put an intro video on? I haven't seen it.
There might be one. I don't know how to use this stuff. I just record and I post the videos.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, it's nice.
you need an intro video so people know, who you are,
Hmm.
because there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. I know people hear your videos and they listen to the stuff about the book and they think that, which is funny because I know you get frustrated with that damn book because you're like, people think that I wrote the book, even
They
though
do.
you clearly say in the videos that
Oh,
you did not write the book. And
yep.
that's what I don't understand with the human species, why they have selective thinking, right? Like
Hmm.
they listen to like even with my videos, it's the same thing. They only are hearing parts of it. I don't think they're actually hearing the full video. I don't think they're hearing all the information. They're only processing parts of the information, and there's something wrong. And I feel sorry. I don't want to say sorry for the human species. I feel like there's like I wish I could help, because I could see that their minds only process pieces of things and they're not capable of processing the whole thing. I'm not saying people are stupid, and that's the thing. People get angry and they're like, oh, well, they think that we're dumb or something. It's not that. It's literally like this, guys. It's like watching a 3D movie. Like when you watch it and you see it without the glasses on, it's a mess. You're looking at different images happen at the same time. It strains your eyes. It's hard to look at, and you eventually just stop looking at the screen because it's hard to process what you can kind of see what's going on in the movie, but it's just hard to see it without the glasses. And then when you put the glasses on, bam, all of a sudden now you can see the images. And not only do you see the images, but you see them coming at you. So now you're actually more involved in the movie. You're involved in the information that you're processing. So it's a whole different type of way of processing. So I'm not saying that the human species is dumb. I'm just saying that it's like your glasses have been taken away from you, like your 3D glasses have been removed from you, so you can't really process it in the way that we're trying to explain it to you and help you understand.
And that comes like with the mental blocks, you know, and for some people, you have to push through those mental blocks with research or removing aside thought processes that you originally found to be valid and truthful. And I think, you know, like when people bring up, what is it, like logos, pathos, and the Greeks, they made up this process of verifying truth, veritas or whatever. And the Greeks, you know, they had a lot of issues with their way of thought too. So, you know, it's difficult when you see certain things in a process, and especially with like 1972, you know, you're looking at the information. I know people get tired of hearing about it, but, you know, the evidence is there, and it's all a part of a bigger picture, which goes back to the time hack, you know, in 72. And when you see these things that are correlating with one another, like what we were talking about, the Aborigines in Australia
Yes,
in
that's what.
1972.
Yeah, you
And
went
then,
into like a whole bunch of stuff where you did a whole bunch of research into that. I just gave you like a little bit, and then you went on your own thing and dug really deep into it.
yes, and then in the same year, the Native Americans in 1972 had a similar thing that happened to them here in America. So,
The broken treaties.
yeah, the broken treaties. So you're seeing correlations of 1972 all across the planet. You know, it's not just in America. I think in the beginning you wanted to stick with just America, but it just, you couldn't help it. It just went outside of everything. And you know, we talk about these conspiracy groups, right? This morning we were talking when it comes to like the Bohemian Grove and the Illuminati, Bilderberg,
Yeah,
and the Freemasons, and everybody always talks about those particular groups, and you know,
they don't
this
seem so secret.
shadow,
So it's like
shadow government.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then you find this information out. You sent me that stuff on the Club of Rome because of the Georgia Guidestones, and
And
the
nobody
club,
talks about the Club of Rome. That's a
nobody
secret
does.
society that was out in the open in the UN in 1972.
Yep. And
It's those other ones, and I don't want to cut you off, but those other ones, it's like it's like they're forcing you to look there. And we get these
yes.
people like David Icke and these other people that are like, hey, look at this secret society and stuff, and look at all these things that's going on. And so it's like you're forced to look that way by listening to this guy, and you're
Right.
missing the other things that are happening because you think that. And that's why I think that he's like more of like a controlled opposition, because he's helping control where people look, and he's
Right.
forcing them to look in a certain direction. Now, I'm not saying that those things are not up to nefarious evil intent on the rest of the human species.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, now we see them. Now what? What
Yeah,
else is there?
exactly.
You know, we get it. You know, it's like, what else is there? And then we see the whole thing, like you said, with what happened in the UN in 1972, and then the what is it called? The limits to growth that
Yeah,
happened.
Limits
Oh
to
my.
Growth book, and
Mhm.
also how they created a simulation, and you can look it up. It's called World 3, and it's a program that pretty much talks about, you know, let me see, I can look it up really quick.
Mhm. And what's really freaky is the fact that, like you were saying, you know, World 3. Well, what happened to World 1 and 2?
Yeah, and some people would
Why?
probably be like, well, why couldn't they name it World 3? You know, maybe 3 has a significance, but the World 3 model is a system dynamics model for computer simulation. And I know people are going to get caught up in the simulation aspect, but it talks about interactions between the population and industrial growth, the food production, and the limits in the ecosystems of the earth. And this is all
Mhm.
produced and used by the Club of Rome study that produced the model and the book, The Limits to Growth. And, you know, you had a video that you did, maybe it was a year ago, where you talked about AI's presence here on this planet. And this is a natural reality, but it's affected by AI. And
Mhm.
we were discussing, why would an advanced alien species need AI? They're
Mhm.
advanced. Humans need advanced AI, right? We need artificial intelligence because we are limited. We have to create these supercomputers like the D-Wave computer, um, who's the gentleman that created it? But I sent you that video,
Mhm.
and he was talking about, he created this whole narrative. First he used his children, so he gained an audience and, you know, was tugging at your heartstrings. But the whole preface of the video, or the whole premise, is pretty much him wanting to create a supercomputer to go into other dimensions, to take from other universes or other dimensions or whatever, like a pirate of some kind. And that's sinister, in my opinion, because you wouldn't want that done here in the
Yeah, you're
dimension that we live
imposing.
in.
Yeah, he's trying to
Yeah.
impose his will on another, and this is the problem with the human species. This is the reason why you're limited to this planet and to everything right now. And that's why I hear people, like, I just listened to Linda Morton Howe last night talking about she wants to live forever, right? And I'm
Mhm.
so sick of people talking about wanting to live forever. Why do you deserve to live forever? You know, like, what do you do? Like, what makes you so special to live
Mhm.
forever? You know, but anyhow, there's this whole thing of, you know, of this want and this need. It's like, well, what are you going to give instead of trying to go to another dimension or another planet and trying
Mhm.
to take from there? Because that's exactly what humans do. They go, oh, we want to get to the asteroid so we can take from the asteroid, so we can get
Right.
minerals. We want to go to Mars
Exactly.
so we can colonate and live on Mars and take from the resources of Mars. The humans, the only way they would be actually accepted into the overall scheme of things in this galaxy and other realms and everything
Mhm.
is if the humans were to talk about what they can give to those other realms, give to another planet. Maybe we can go to this asteroid and help do something with her. Maybe we can go to Mars and maybe if find life and help life there grow or something. No, it's all about what the humans can take away. And that's exactly what you're saying with the guy with D-Wave. He's talking about a nefarious thing. Look, I want to go into another dimension with this supercomputer and take something from this other dimension. I want to steal something. I want to remove something.
Right.
And once and there's already species that are so further advanced, they're already hip to that. They're so
Mhm.
far hip to that. It's not even funny. You're like, oh, okay, this is one of those type of species. So the moment that you are able to, you know, peer through the other side into somebody else's dimension, then at that moment they're going to see you and they're going to know what you're about and they're going to say, okay, well, we need to restrain these people. Now we need to go there and see what they're doing. Now here's something else that's a big kicker for those of you who are on the high horse religion kick. The humans are talking about going into other dimensions. Okay, so when
Mhm.
you talk about beings coming from other dimensions coming here, you automatically call them demons and demonic. So what does it call you when your species is trying to go into other dimensions? I guess now you're the demons and you're demonic.
Mhm.
You know, so like the whole thing just doesn't. I don't think the humans really can see a few steps ahead of themselves, and they're not really looking at the overall picture with all the boxes that they're ticking in. You know, through their religion, politics, sex, gender, whatever. all those things restrain you. And yeah, so yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say, to let the listeners know that if they want to listen to the video from the gentleman that I was talking about for the D-Wave quantum computer, and what his plans are, I have a playlist called Research, and the video's called D-Wave Quantum Computers Are Changing Reality Itself. So if people are interested and want to listen to that, they can, for themselves. And you have to, in my opinion, and I know I voiced this to you, but I thought this man, I know I used a pretty harsh term.
Not the better part of the humanity on this planet.
No. And I think a lot of us can agree, because a lot of people, have talked about D-Wave computer and their concerns with it. And this gentleman is using manipulative language to gain your trust and to make you think, using his child as, an introduction and softening up your heart and your mind to the idea of this being okay. And this is how I perceived it. You're dealing with people with high level of intelligence, and they have an extreme intelligence based upon manipulating others to think in a certain way. Now, some people may watch this video and say, this is great. We need to grow and expand and whatever. For me personally, I find it to be, is the right term, nefarious? I don't know.
Yeah. I like that word, even though I can't spell it.
I don't know if I can.
It's a great word though, nefarious. It's like the cream of the crop, nefarious.
Yeah, geez. Well, there was a lot of talk a long time ago when D-Wave first came out.
And now it's gone.
People stopped talking about it, but
nobody talks about it, and that's what makes it scary. It's still
happening. Yeah, it's still going on. It hasn't stopped. And people probably think, like, you're obsessed with 1972. They probably rag on me about my obsession with the Jupiters and cubes. That's fine. It all
and D-Wave is a
together.
cube, though, so they can say whatever they want, because D-Wave is a cube. And if you look at what D-Wave is doing, and then you look at the Jupiters and the cube, and you look at all the movies that talk about cubes, it's funny how D-Wave fits right perfect with the mother box, with the Allspark, with the one from the Avengers, where they had the thing. What was that? It wasn't the Mind Stone. Which stone was in the one in the very first one?
I can't
remember which stone. Yeah, no, somebody's yelling right now, because it was a blue cube, and then they found out inside that was a stone, but I can't remember which stone it was. But they always drop like little things in there.
They do.
Little hints and stuff in these movies. And I don't give movies that much credibility, but some of them they do have information.
Exactly. They do it in a way to, it's like sci-fi and unrealistic, but when you start seeing these, significant correlations with these boxes, and you look at certain religions and how important it is to them, and just like with CERN,
D-Wave right there.
Yeah, and you also have CERN, who's run by a Jupiter. I think he's like the executive officer. Yeah, so he's trying to spark creation in a way of a new planet, and that's the whole mantra. They want a new heaven and a new earth. I don't understand what's so difficult to understand about that. And I may have holes in my theories or whatever, because there's a lot of stuff that's just not available, but everybody knows that they want a new heaven and a new earth. And it's either this earth or it's a new one that they're going to create or take from somebody else. And people laugh at that kind of stuff, or whatever you want to, whatever you want to do with that is fine. But, you and I understand that our planet is under attack, and people have ideas about CERN. I mean, you could go in probably multiple directions with that computer, you know, and its capabilities. But I think one reason for this particular gentleman, I think it's Eleazar or something is his name, or Elazar Rabinovici. You know, he wants to spark creation. He wants to make a whole new planet. I don't understand why people are probably like, that's crazy. But you have to understand, they believe that they have the capabilities and the understanding, they will do it.
If we reverse this train of thought, though, see,
Mhm.
I'm not really afraid of the D wave or the CERN's capabilities or anything, and I don't think people should be afraid of those
No.
things, because there's nothing that you can do to stop it. Like, are you going to
Nope.
stop the next space shuttle to go in space? You know, but if we
Mhm.
reverse that whole train of thought where people are all freaked out and wigged out over CERN and D wave, I'm saying, yes, it's worth taking a look at and saying, hey, look, this is what's going on over here. But
Mhm.
people who panic and freak out, it just doesn't make any sense, because before they sent a man to the moon, whether you want to believe it or not, well, let's just say into space, before they
Mhm.
sent anyone to the space, people were freaking out saying that they're shooting those rockets at the dome that's in the sky, and they're gonna
Mhm.
break a hole in the dome, and water's gonna gush in, and it's gonna flood the planet. And they really
Mhm.
believed this stuff when rockets were first being introduced and being shot up into space. They thought that,
Right.
you know, that was it. Some people thought that this was going to be, you know, those were the conspiracy theories back then. They didn't have the internet like they do now. And you can
Mhm.
imagine if right now was the first time they started shooting rockets in the sky, what people would be saying on the internet. Oh my God, they're going to blow holes into the into the
Yeah.
atmosphere. You know, they're gonna break the glass dome, and water's going to,
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff. I mean, people still say crazy stuff like that now, but we know that there's space. Like,
Mhm.
it's like, come on, man. You know, guys, get together and get some money and catch a ride on Elon Musk's rocket. If you don't want to go on him, you don't try him. Go to the other country and go catch Brandt's rocket. And isn't that over in the UK or something? If you don't like that, there's other ones. It's, you know, but even if you go back even further than that, right? It's the
Mhm.
same train of thought as when people first left and went and sailed over the horizon. People swore up and down, if you
You'd
go over
fall
there,
off.
you're going to fall off and you're going to die. They literally were
Oh.
adamant, you know, kissing their loved ones goodbye, saying, well, we'll never see them again, because they're going to go over that horizon. They're going to be dead. You know, they're going
Mhm.
to disappear. They're going to fall off the edge of the earth. They really, truly believe that. And guess what
Yeah.
happened? They ended up in America and fucked up the whole country.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to curse on your channel, but they ended up over here. And so, like, if they would have just stayed to their dogmatic, you know, small-minded beliefs, they never would have came and colonized America. They would have
Mhm.
stayed their asses over in England, because they'd be like, nope, we don't want to go there. That's what the conspiracy theorist people do. It's like the whole thing when people saying now that there's no nukes. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people right now who are literally like out talking about, and they have jeopardized their careers and their credibility because they worked at nuclear silos, and
Mhm.
UFOs came over and shut them down. And those people, like, and they're like, you know, these military, and it's just like, I don't know, man. There's so much, the way that humans are so, like, not all the humans, but some humans are ignorant and not really looking at all the other things. You
Mhm.
know, if nuclear weapons are not real, then why do you care if North Korea gets nuclear weapons? By the way, that goes back to 1972. The Kim regime started in 1972. Bizarre. But why do you care if they get nuclear weapons in? Then just let them get whatever they want. Stop talking trash about North Koreans. If they're going to get nuclear weapons, well, they're obviously, they don't exist. So why do you care? Why do you care if
Right.
Iran gets nuclear weapons? Why do you care if Mexico gets nuclear weapons, decides they want to take back parts of America
Mhm.
because they have little mini nukes and they'll just hit on the other side of America? Like, why do you care then? If these things don't exist, then why do you care? Like, that's the thing. Are people saying, "Oh, the nuclear threat's not real"? Well, then why do you care? If few nuclear missiles hit America, I
Mhm.
hope that they hit close by where these people are saying that, "Oh, nuclear don't exist. So that way, when their ass is suffering from radiation poison from a nuclear strike, that they can. Now, here's the thing. There's the ring of fire, and everyone knows if you hit the ring of fire, you're going to spark a big problem for the entire planet. Nobody talks about that. And that's the one thing that I talk about with the nukes that I've talked about before, is that they have to be very careful where they set off any big bombs like that, because if they hit the ring of fire, it's going to cause a chain reaction, and that's it. It's a bad day for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, but complete total nuclear destruction in the entire world, yeah, I don't believe that. I don't really see how that makes sense.
Yeah, because the people here, they still want a planet that is going to bring forth resources, and it's not financially responsible for them to do that to the whole planet. You know, what was it, like 1945 was America did the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I think that's
as soon as Harry Truman became president after Roosevelt was murdered, and people won't say he's murdered, but I say he's murdered. Right after he became president, literally like a few months later, they made the atom bomb, or they made the little boy and fat man, or whatever they were called. And then I think it was like a few weeks after that, he used them. He didn't give it even any consideration of what the outcome. And like, that's another thing too. People will say, you know, nuclear weapons aren't real and stuff, and things like that. It's like, take it up with the Japanese.
Yeah.
Take it up with Chernobyl, the people over
Chernobyl.
You know, put your money where your mouth is and go get on a plane and take your ass to those places and prove it. Prove where these disasters that happened didn't happen. You know, it's I know this wasn't this video was supposed to be about, but it does get annoying with the conspiracy theorists who, when we're trying to show you, look at 1972. All this stuff that we're talking about is all connected to 1972 anyhow. The SALT Treaty was when they stopped mass producing nuclear weapons between Russia and America, and boom, here we are today.
Yep.
You know, and that was in 1972.
Oh yeah, remember you were talking about Russia wanting to go into space, right? And they weren't able to go there. They stopped after America supposedly went there. Now, like you were saying, it just, you know, whether you want to believe people went to the moon or not, or whatever, is up to you. But, you know, the Russians were supposed to go to Mars this year, or maybe the end of 2021 or something. But they're in war with the Ukraine. And who else is trying to go to Mars right now? America. So you can see this recycle and this resurgent, just a different, you know, planet this time, or different planetary object, whatever you want to call it.
My question is why are people not looking at the obvious? The obvious isn't that whether we went to the moon or not. The obvious is why did Russia stop trying to go to the moon?
Yeah.
Just because America went there doesn't mean, just because the Europeans came to, you know, the American shores and came and colonized this country, didn't stop Russians from coming here.
Exactly.
Like that's the way the human species works. They're not just going to stop. There's a reason why they stopped trying to go to the moon.
Right.
You know, it wasn't just America, it was everyone. It was totally blacklisted for anyone to even attempt to go there. And here's another thing too, for those people out there, conspiracy theorists, who say, hey, well, you know, it's all a lie and stuff. Well, come on, man. North Korea, they would love to say America lied about going to the moon. They would love to prove that it was a lie. China has been also trying, I think they're out trying to say that it was a lie and stuff, but it's like, you know, they have to give the evidence, and then you have to ask yourself, well, why aren't they going to the moon then? Like, why aren't you guys going to the moon? Go to the moon. You know, you guys have the technology, go there. You know, what's stopping them? So it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. But you know, I get a little fixated on the moon. That's another obsession of mine. But mine is I thought someone brought it here, you know, another species, another alien species brought here, which I think some people, you know, might think that. because
It's a possibility. Why
it's
is it not a possibility?
yeah, because there's sun worship happened. There's record of that, happening. I think like 500 years before moon worship took place. Now the numbers might be skewed a little bit, but we have the internet, so you can go research that and determine that for yourselves. But a lot of people think that maybe it's nanotechnology that the moon is made of, and if the moon is some type of alien, being, let's just say hypothetically, or some alien presence brought it here to control.
Did you watch that? Did you watch that movie?
I didn't watch that movie.
You didn't watch it?
No, but I need to. I've got a whole list of movies. You know how hard it is for me sometimes to watch movies. But they talk about it being made out of a different substance. Now, if it's not natural to this realm of existence that we live in, and I mean like our terrarium, can it be impossible if it's some type of nanotechnology that it could provide radiation to this planet? I mean, Aristotle, I was telling you the other day about Aristotle and how he had come up with the fact that the moon affects the minds of people. And if the moon has the capability to control water or bodies, like what does your spirit or soul live in? It lives in a body. And you're what? Made out of water, mostly. Your brain has waves. Like, come on. Like, is that so far-fetched to even think that that could be a possibility? And that was one idea that he had. One of, he was Greek. Yeah, I talked about the Greeks and their philosophies, but supposed to be one of, the smartest of his era, and still to this day. But with certain things, people are like, no, science says otherwise. And it's kind of like, science is important. I like science too, and I like history and I like facts. But sometimes it's like certain things we don't have, make it make sense, like with Jordan Maxwell, when he talks about the plays on words. And, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, yeah, because science, the good thing about science is subject to change. So, and a good scientist will know that nothing is solid, like nothing is 100%. There's no such thing really. I mean, truly in science, there's no such thing as 100%. Like you can't say anything's 100% because everything's always subject to change, because the humans don't really understand the reality that they're in anyhow. So unless they have 100% of evidence of what their reality is, well, then nothing could be 100%, even though I say 100, this is 100% or that's 100%. Really, nobody really knows what exactly 100% is, because everything's subject to change. We know that because of the Mandela effect. You could sit there and say till you're blue in the face that, the guy had the monocle on his thing. We all know he had the damn monocle, and we're 100% sure that he had the monocle, but now we know that he didn't have the monocle. Well, what is that? That means that reality is subject to change. And if reality is subject to change, then that means there is no such thing as 100%. Absolutely not. What you think today is 100% correct could be completely wrong tomorrow, because all of a sudden something pops up and you find out that, the reality has changed now, which is not a bad thing. And I think a lot of humans get upset with it because they want everything to be certainty. They want certainty. And I can understand certainty is comfort, but with certainty and comfort leaves no room for growth, right? Like that's just it. Like that's the end of it, like, okay, we're at the end of the road and there's no place to go. So I think that's why people they find comfort in religion too, because they want to know that they have a certainty of where they're going to go when they die. They're not comfortable with the unknown. They're not comfortable what I was talking about before about the darkness. I tell people, embrace the darkness. Don't hide from the darkness. Don't be afraid of the darkness. And I explained to somebody the one day, I said, look, if you see a really, really big dark room and you go in that room and you hear a sound while you're in there, you may get creeped out because you're afraid of what's in the darkness. Well, guess what? Now you're making sounds in the darkness too. Should that thing in that dark room be afraid of you? Like, it just like, instead of being afraid of darkness, embrace the darkness so you can understand it more. Understand what is the uncertainty instead of being afraid of it. And I think once people start to look at things in that aspect, once they start to understand that the darkness is not scary, it's only what's scary to you is what's the unknown. The darkness itself is not scary. When you close your eyes at night to go to sleep, you do that as in a comfortable way. You're comfortable by closing your eyes, so that way you have darkness. Now you're embracing darkness to be at peace, to sleep so you can rest. Your body rests in the darkness. That's when you heal the most, is when you're resting in your darkness. When people meditate, they can go up onto a grassy hill in the middle of the day where the sun is high, and they can close their eyes, and they're now shedding the light and going to the darkness to meditate, to find that peace. Or maybe they want to do it in a dark room or whatever, so they can find that peace, that darkness. So instead of people being afraid of that, embracing that and trying to understand that, certainty is not always the best. I'm not saying that it's not a good thing. You should be certain whether, if you jump from, off of a small hill, whether you're certain that you're going to survive that jump or not.
Exactly.
I'm not saying,
there's
I'm not
certainty
saying
and
that. I'm not
there's
saying
foolishness.
recklessness. Exactly. People, because I know somebody right now is saying, well, what if I'm not certain if I jump off of a 10-story building, if that's okay?
You might live, but you might be mangled for the rest of your life, and that's your choice.
The highest fall in the world out of an airplane was in 1972 that a woman survived.
That's crazy.
It's always goes back to 1972, and those are marker points in history. They're not just, one of the people who fell from one of the highest. No, it's the highest fall was in that year. No, it was the SALT treaty that happened. No, it was the broken treaties that, happened. It's like, it's an actual pivotal point in history that was all 1972. That's just not possible. And that's that darkness that people are afraid of.
It is. It's delving into the past so you can actually perceive your present and your future correctly. Because we were talking about the time
really
hack.
Clever. Yeah, you had something really clever that you were talking about earlier about telling the future. And it's not telling the future, it's actually you're living in the past, and you're only able to see what's already happened.
Right. And that's what happens, right, in a time hack, because people talk about, and you keep me honest because I can't remember exactly everything I said because it was just flowing out of my mouth. They talk about these different timelines, this very popular terminology, and I'm kind of like, okay, now people are looking at the timelines as being individualistic. Okay, but these timelines, especially if an alien species, right, Rat, or I should say Alcor, come
call
here,
me whatever.
They manipulate, just don't call me late for dinner, right? Or whatever that saying
Next year I'll have a different name. Every year I just change my name.
The Scorpion. I'm just like, okay.
No, that was my old name. Scorpion X is going to be my next one.
Scorpion X. Where was I? Oh, these different timelines. Okay, so and we know that aliens or these advanced beings have the ability to manipulate time, and we can see that with the 1972 time hack. And it does have something to do with, the alien saucers that were shown in I never remember. It's like 1940. When was it? They were over the Capitol and at the Dulles Airport.
That was 1952 was right. It was right after. So Harry S., not a true man, by the way, is also connected to Is Not Real, which I do not want to go through that today. But I just stumbled across something. I was just like, how is this even possible? And the bizarre thing is I was watching Westworld when it all just popped up in my head. I'm like, oh my God, it's just the whole reality is all jacked up. But
Yes.
1952, so a lot of people
Mhm.
don't know this, but they can look it up. Harry Truman left the White House in like 1948 or
Mhm.
49 because he said that where the White House, the White House, the White House wasn't up to code
Yeah, it
for
wasn't
a
safe.
president. Yeah,
Mhm.
so they turned the White House under his administration, under Harry S. Not Truman, from a White House into a fortress. And while he was gone, nothing really happened, you know, around Washington. But
Mhm.
then when he came back in 1952 and he moved back into the White House, not long after that, all of a sudden there was all these UFOs that were popping
Yep.
up over top of the White House. Now,
Mhm.
whether they were against him or for him, they're connected to him. So it doesn't
Right.
matter. They're completely connected to him. Everybody talks about freaking Eisenhower, and I'm sick of hearing about Eisenhower because it starts and there's a reason why Harry Truman had the sign on his desk that said the buck stops here. Like
Mhm.
everything should let you know the buck stops here. And what do we call a buck? It's like a young male, a human man.
Right.
Yeah, there's no more man there. The buck stopped there with Harry Truman. And ever since then, you've been under alien rule. I don't care what anybody says. That
Yep.
was it. It started with him. And you're right. That's when those UFOs popped up over the White House.
Mhm. And we can see that something happened, obviously in 1972, and it's impossible that
Yeah,
all
and
those
Harry
things
Truman died that
happened.
year.
Yeah, and all
And
those
Harry
things
Truman
happened.
dies.
Yeah, all those things happened in just 1 year. If
Yep.
time was manipulated, we could be living in these timelines of we're still living on the past, like the past, the present, and the future are manipulated in a way, and
Isn't
we're
that
just
called
kind of,
singularity? Is that called
yeah,
singularity? Yeah.
I think so, that we're dwelling in this realm of existence because we can go back to the Mandela effect and say that time was manipulated, right?
Yep.
And
There's
people don't
evidence.
believe in
There's
time travel, you
but they
know.
but they believe but they see that there are people that literally will sit there and say, oh yeah, the Mandela effect, I know about the Mandela effect, and they'll start
Hmm.
rumbling off things that I don't really care about. I'm like, so what? You only need one or two things to say, okay, yeah, something's wrong. I don't need to
Hmm.
hear 100 different things about Mandela effect. I get it. You're focusing on every little bump that's on the person's body and saying, oh yeah, look, they got a bump here, they got a bump here, they bump here. Well, let's figure out where the bumps are coming from. Oh, okay, they got smallpox, by the way,
Hmm.
1972. But it's like instead of just looking, like they just keep looking at, you know, the symptoms instead of seeing the cause. And the cause is,
Right.
hey, it's something manipulated the timeline.
Hmm. And we were also talking about with the manipulation of timelines, if you don't believe in a god or angels or demons, and we talked about when it came to The Simpsons and how they're able to predict the future. Now, some people have the capabilities of, seeing things that are going to come, but what if it's just um, something that's already occurred and you're living in the past and maybe, how did I say it before? Do you remember?
Okay, so you were saying that you're talking about how people are able to predict things in the future that are happening, like, oh man, this is on a Simpson episode, or this is on a
Hmm.
Illuminati card and stuff. And you were saying that it's not that they're predicting the future, they're just able to see what's already happened because in other words, your concept was is that we're already in the past,
Hmm.
and the things that you're seeing are things that have already happened. So
Right.
that there's really no predictions that are really happening. It's just the story that's already been played. It's like
Right.
literally watching a DVD, watching a movie, and you're just rewinding back and you're just rewatching it all over again.
Hmm.
But the thing
Because,
is that where those I don't want to cut you off, but where that
mhm,
information is coming from, The Simpsons, is Hollywood, is television.
yep.
And who owns Hollywood? And it's like, so yes, they're giving you the information because they already know how things played out, because they're coming from a different perspective than what the humans in this present time right now or understanding. It's the same thing with like that Anunnaki book. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I remember listening to you talking about Anunnaki saying that they don't predict the future. They just calculate things.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what I do with the 1972. When I'm saying, hey, this is a 1972 prophecy, it's because I'm calculating by looking at the 1972 and saying, oh, okay, well, if this happened in 72 and now this happened in 2022 or in 2020, then that means that this other thing's going to happen. You know, it's
Right.
possible that this is going to happen too. That's the reason why I was able to predict what was going to happen with Amy Coney Barrett and the fact that the Roe v. Wade was going to get overturned, and everybody kept telling me I was crazy. It's like I predicted that, you know, and not anybody can make a prediction, but I'm calculating from a year. I'm not making a prediction that's just I'm pulling out of the air. I'm looking at the year and saying, okay, because this and this and this and this happened, so that means that Joe Biden's going to be president. And people say, oh no, it's not possible. I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, I get it. I agree with you. It doesn't make sense. The guy shouldn't. There's no way he would be more popular than Trump. You know, I mean, that's how this country works. But he's going to win, and I'm telling you why. And people didn't believe me, and then it happened. And after that, they just kind of, you know, went on their way and just didn't say, okay, well, what's next, man? What else is going on?
Right.
You know, or looking into it themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I even talk a little bit about, you know, people utilize tarot cards and things like that. Like these are cards, and also like the Illuminati deck. And when people talk about, you know, how
That
much
Illuminati
effort,
deck is so accurate. It's crazy.
yeah, and people don't think that it's possible that it was placed here, you know, it's already happened, it's already occurred, it's just part of history. The same, or like the timelines are blending in some way to where especially when it comes to like the Simpson episodes, we could actually be looking at things like from the future, and but we're still in the past. Like I don't.
But you're living the present at the same time, though. I think
Yeah,
the
it's
humans
weird.
the humans get confused when we say that you're living in the past. Well, you are living in the past, but you're living out your present. It's not to say that tomorrow is not the future for you, and because it's the past for someone else. It's
Right.
saying that you're in your present timeline, but it's the past for other species that have come here and hacked and manipulated your time. So
Yep.
they've already seen it already play out because they've already they've already been to the future timeline, and they come back, and this is just the past, which is with the present that you're living out. It doesn't mean that what you do today doesn't matter. It does matter, because
Right.
what you do today is still going to be part of that past. It's still going to be part of the past. And I think people get confused, and they just I think their minds they have a hard time processing. It's like going back to the 3D glasses. You know,
Yeah.
they just can't process you know, what the picture is that they're looking at.
Yep. Yeah, it's because I was saying to you, it's almost mathematically impossible for any human on this planet, you know, with everything that is going on, being succinct with the Masons, the Illuminati. And, you know, we could go back and say, well, they know the future. Well, how did they know the future? And you know how much energy and effort that would take to create that kind of scenario with just using people to make that happen. It's, I don't think it's possible, you know, but an advanced alien
Well,
species could
so
do that.
yeah, so the thing is the best way for the humans, they need to understand is like you're not the only species on this planet running things. I know people say, oh, the reptilians are doing all this. It's like, come on, man. But anyhow, whatever. There's another species that's here. They look just like you. They're humans. They're a human species from another planet. If you take humans from this planet and you go to Mars, guess what? Now you're the alien. And if you get on Mars and you find out that there's human beings who are Martians who look just like you, and you're able to blend in and mingle with them, well, they may never know. Of course, now your diet has to change because there's gonna be certain things you can't eat. You know, maybe your eyesight doesn't work as much, so your offspring is always going to need glasses for the most part.
Yeah.
You're going to bring your own religion, you know, to say, hey, you know, and the religion is just your set of rules. You know, this is what you're supposed to do while you're on this planet, so you don't, so that you don't, screw up, you don't give away the game, while we're trying to take over the planet. But in the,
Exactly.
but it's like, it's an easy, it's so easy when you look at it from that perspective and you go, oh my gosh, it's definitely
Mhm.
happening.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
like
reason why they can go ahead.
that inappropriate uncle. You're like, okay, so here are the rules. You cannot flirt with your cousins. Like, you can't, your mom, you're not supposed to be with them. Like, we can't shock the humans with this kind of stuff. We can't shock the family with that. And that's
Mhm.
literally like how their rules are written. It's like
And I
for,
got news for the humans. The same stuff that you're made out of is probably the same stuff that they're made out of on other planets.
Mhm.
So I
Yep.
know that people were saying, like scientists were saying a long time ago, that, oh, life on other planets may not look anything like us. And we're probably the only ones that are like that. Sorry, there's probably a lot of different human looking species on other planets. And the fact is, and I don't mean to cut you off, I was listening to what Linda Morton Howe was saying last night, and she was saying, I think it was last night, they were talking
Mhm.
about some of these tribes and stuff, these civilizations that are now gone, and they just went extinct, and nobody knows what the hell happened to them. And they were saying, it's a possibility that they were taken from this planet and
Mhm.
taken to another planet in the galaxy somewhere. And guess what? Now they're thriving and living and multiplying on a planet made up of the same stuff that you're made up of on this planet. And if they're further along advanced, the Aztecs on another planet right now, like
Mhm.
way further advanced, and they got further technology, they may be coming to visit this planet and just walking around amongst you, and you would never know, because they're made up of the same stuff that you're made up of.
Exactly. Yep. And they can blend in. They just, you know, have a set of rules that they need to abide by because they're on a different turf. Like, if you want to fit in, here's what you need to do because this is how they do it. So don't mess this up, kind of
People
thing.
do
But
it going from country to country. They do the same thing. You
yep,
want to know the customs in another country, you would do the same thing if you're going to another planet.
I'm going to name this video, and I hate to cut you off. I think
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm playing. Um, but yeah, that's a lot to unpack here. I mean, we could probably go on.
You're gonna name this video "I Hate to Cut You Off"? I thought you were saying you hated to cut me off, and you're gonna tell me what the name of the video was. And then I get your little sly remark there that you're saying that you're gonna name the video "I Hate to Cut You Off."
I hate to cut you off. No, no, I'm just being clever.
I'll send you a picture of me with one of my swords.
Okay. We'll put that as the picture on the front.
I hate to cut you off. They're
I
like,
hate to
"Ooh,
cut you off.
this must be a dangerous video."
Yeah, we should watch this. And then they're like, oh, they're back at it again,
All our
with their
information is dangerous because it forces you to think. And the things that we talk about, I don't know if anybody else is talking about their perspective of things that we're talking
Mhm.
about, unless it's something that we refer to. Hey, this person said this or this person said that. But for the most part, most of the stuff that we talk about, I don't hear anybody else talking about the things in that perspective.
Yeah, no. I mean, YouTube is a vast place. So most
Hmm.
things, I mean, we've all pretty much heard and are aware of. And I did want to talk about the Anunnaki books. And if you've made it to this part of the video, congratulations, you get a gold star, right?
Get a gold star.
You do. But I I have a neutral position for the book. And, like you kind of said, it is difficult for me because I get people that say, I've had people come at me and attack me saying I wrote it and I'm doing fear mongering. But here's the thing, the reason why I'm reading these books is because this is supposed to take place this year. So when you have somebody making a statement or a claim, um, we need to research that. And as I'm reading, I look at this as research, right? To formulate an opinion or to see if this is actually going to take place. And if for some reason watching my videos causes you to go into fear and panic and frustration, please stop watching my videos, because, you know, having a sense of mental, like, good mental health, because, you know, in this community, X, that there's like that channel Anonymous. Okay. I used to subscribe to them, but every day there's always a video about we're going to die. You know, it's the end of the
Fear, it's
world.
all fear mongering.
And we have to maintain a healthy balance of reality, you know, and whatever that means to you. Like, I wake up every day and I have routines that I do, and that's my reality. And I refuse to let anybody put me in that position of fear ever again. You know, that's not how I'm going to live my life. If, like you said, you have to learn how to embrace the darkness. And that's hard, you know, but it's a part of life. You're dying every day. So make the most out of it, and don't, like, live in fear, because there's a lot of things, you know, people talk about the Saturnian occult, you know, and how they're sacrificing babies and doing whatever. But it's like, what have we done to stop this from happening? We just talk about it and, you know, watch these videos. I don't watch them because I don't want to see it. I know it's happening,
Yeah.
but what have we done to correct it? You know, as a species, or as people here on this planet, whatever, you know, you associate with, as far as, you know, like Anunnaki or reptilian or draconian or whatever, like, you know what I'm saying though? It's,
Everybody always has an answer of who's doing it, though. They all have the
Mhm.
answer. Oh, we know who's doing these heinous things. We know these heinous things. Well, if you know it, then why aren't you doing something? If you know for sure who's doing it, why aren't you doing something
Mhm.
about it? In other words, you're just saying they're just using their fears, and
Mhm.
sadly, their fears come from the invading species that's
Yep.
here, which I show the humans. And here's the thing. I tell the human species all the time, you know, the best thing that you can do for your species is to become neutral and to
Mhm.
spread that neutrality. The sooner that this species becomes neutral, the sooner it can move forward. But as
Mhm.
long as you're pushing your agenda of your sexuality, your agenda of your religion, your politics, your country, you know, saying, oh, this is my country, it's the greatest country in the world. What makes a country? I mean, come
Mhm.
on, like, it's
And invisible
that you're
borders.
separating yourself from the rest of your own species, your own people.
Right.
There's an invading species here, and they're taking over. And I
Mhm.
don't have anything against that species. I'm not for what they're doing. I'm not against what they're doing. I can't,
There's, what can we do about it?
it's not my role. What the humans can
Mhm.
do is they can become neutral, but it's not my
Mhm.
place to actually do anything, because I'm just here as a visitor as well. So I can't really, you know, all I can say is the humans need to become neutral. And once they become neutral, then they can start moving forward, and then they can deal with that. But as long as you're fighting each other, you
Mhm.
know, which is the speed that species gave you the religion and everything, as long as you're fighting each other, you got to go.
No, 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 I'm good.
Oh, okay. As long as the humans are fighting each other over all these topics,
Mhm.
stop it, because it's suppressing your neighbor, and it makes your neighbor wants to suppress you. You know,
Mhm.
oh, you're for Biden, or you're for Trump, or you're for Christianity, or you're for Judaism, or whatever, you know, Buddhism, or
Mhm.
any of the isms. You know, you're suppressing your species. All of that has to stop. All of it, the
Right.
entire thing, because it's helping this other species take over. It's
Right.
literally
And
helping them take over.
exactly. And, you know, in Revelation, it talks about a world government, you know, and people have an issue with that. Now, I don't have an issue either way, but the point is there's,
One
what's so
world, one
wrong
people can't be
with
stopped.
having, yeah, what's so wrong with having a unified world? It's taught in such a way as a negative, you know, aspect, but what's wrong with that? If there are other advanced alien species out there, which we know there are, we can see evidence of that. the best course of action, that the best way they have come in and infiltrated is with more division. We divide, we divide. Now, there used to be civilizations, remember? Like when they would talk about these civilizations, the, you know, Egyptian civilization and whatever, and they've magically disappeared, you know, that was probably a whole planet, you know, like a whole civilization was wiped out. And we create these divisions, these walls, these barriers, because if we continue to live in a mind space of, well, Sean, oh shoot, you're
That's right.
you're a man.
People know my name, Sean, because of the Shawnee tribe,
Oh, okay, that's right.
because I talked about it anyhow. But
yeah,
see, there's another name. I got so many names.
You do.
I like X. X is good.
X is good. So I'll call you that. But people, where was I going with that? I got distracted. Anyway, you know, it's about division. And if people, if their primary thing is to keep us all divided, in the end, we're also busy with our politics in America and in, you know, China or wherever you are, that we can't see our whole planet and everybody that resides here as, you know, one unified being. And this all sounds so weird, but
no, the humans have been conditioned to think that a one world government is a bad thing because of their specific government. That's the reason why they see it that way. Like, there's one thing that I've known about the human species that in my study, long before I found out any of this other stuff, long before, you know, 2017 happened to me, was I've been learning languages and cultures for a very long time. Anytime I meet somebody new, and that is from another country that I don't know really much about, I want to know about it. I don't want to take, like, people, oh yeah, I want to know because I want to go to I want to go on vacation to their place and go, yeah, because you just want to. No, try to just learn about the people. Just learn about them. You know, learn their languages, learn their customs. Just learn about them. You know, and there's one thing that I've learned, and I don't want to go too far off topic, but there's one thing that I've learned about the people of this world is that almost every single country, the people and the government are completely different. The people are not in sync with their government. The only time that people are in sync with their government, and this is the scary part, is when their government is going to war. That's the most time, because right now, the morale in Russia, where I know people don't want to hear this, but it's too bad. Right now, the morale in Russia is freaking high. The Russian people are now backing their government because they're in war. And why is that? Because of fear.
Yeah.
And that's why people are afraid of one world, one government. Let's remove the one world, one government, and let's just say one world, one people. Get rid of the whole government thing. Just the entire human species just working together for a common goal, like beating all the diseases, like, you know, the life extension, like, you know, helping, you know, just helping your neighbors with everything, and your neighbors helping you. If you're trying to help them and they're trying to help you constantly all the time without trying to profit or trying to get ahead or trying to, then eventually the species will move forward. And as the species is moving forward like that, it's hard to stop that species. So another species coming here, the only way they'd be able to take your planet is if they completely cause all out war on you right away. And that's the only way, not to do from within like what they're doing by keeping you divided, and you're slowly losing control of your planet. And right now you're actually almost at the point where you're completely out of control of this planet indefinitely. You know, the humans are really on the verge of completely losing this planet to the other species that's here. You know, they're losing it. I mean, it's all manipulation, and it's because they've done it to themselves. They you know, keeping each other down.
Yes. So we have to learn how to, well, work together, right?
That's what they got to do. They got to work together. And I want to bring up something else real fast. When you said my name was Sean, if people paid attention, they would know what your first name is too, because, and that's why I try to explain to people, you know, I look at my birth, I look at all these things, and even how I got the name Sean, because my mom, she there's nobody named Sean in our family. You know, of course it's
Mhm.
Irish. There's a, you know, my family on her side is very Irish and French, heavy Irish. And your name, your first name also is perfect for your birth and everything too, which is very bizarre, right?
Mhm.
Like, because you're the lady of the scales and your name is Eileen.
Yeah.
You either
Everybody,
lean to one
they
side of
want
the
to,
scale or you
yeah.
lean to the other side of the scale. It's bizarre.
Yes. And people have wanted, I've had people say, what is your name? I really am trying to keep my personal, like certain things
Yeah.
about me, you know,
Yeah.
not out there. But obviously this is probably like 2 hours worth of video. I don't know who's going to make it to this point, but yep. My name
Well,
is Eileen.
they don't know your last name or anything like that. But
They
what
don't.
you already said your name before on the one video where we were
Oh,
explaining
yeah.
like your whole life and, you know, with your mother and your father and being a
Hmm.
lady of scale and being at your 1010 and all this. That's all real important. What people don't understand is the reason why you're able to talk about the things you're able to talk about and see things from a different perspective. And the reason why you're connected to the things that I'm connected to is because it was all written before you're even born. It was like
Hmm.
you specifically came to this planet, was born, you know, from those two parents purposely in that Pacific day, that Pacific time, everything, and given the name and the whole thing. It's just it's it's undeniable. And when they go back and they really look at all this stuff, and when the veil lifts, the people will go back and they'll research all this stuff and they'll listen to all this stuff and they'll say, yeah, they'll say there it is. You know, they were
Yep.
telling us and there it is, you know.
Yeah. And I talk about your channel all the time because I'm like, you have like 300 plus subscribers, but only like on average, like 40 people watching your videos. And I was like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense to me.
And the
And
subscribers will keep going up, but still the same amount of views,
yeah.
always
And
just never break. Yeah, it's always the
right.
same.
My subscribers have been going up. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. um, but I have more views on my videos than I do subscribers. So I always said to
Weird.
you, I was like, I think your content just ends up being blocked because depending on what I'm talking about too, gets more viewership, you know, I
Hmm.
guess that makes sense. But for you, I
And
just think that the government blocks you and people don't realize like how much government interference we have in our lives.
yeah, we can't even tell you guys. Like we
Can't.
can't even tell you. Like there's stuff that me and her talk about. It would.
Oh, you went mute. The government muted you. Are you there?
Still there?
Yes, the government muted you. They were like, nope.
Yes. Sorry.
Well, it's funny because when we talk about certain things, our phones
Mhm.
will hang up and it's like, well,
Yep.
this must be important, you know,
Yep.
or we'll
Yeah.
have
When we'll
like
talk about
weird.
something serious and like all of a sudden, boom, they just shut us off.
Mhm. Like I've never had so many people in high positions be directly not related, but um,
Interactions with you.
interactions with me before. And they're setting up whole operations. And they're probably going
Yeah.
to listen. They're probably the ones that listens to our
They're
videos.
yeah, they're and the thing is that and most people are not at this point, but the thing is people don't really know, and we can't tell you. We literally cannot tell you
Mhm.
because if we were to say really what's going on, they would completely stop you from getting any of the information that we're giving you. Like
Yeah.
it's a passive way. Right now, they're doing a passive way of getting information
Mhm.
without being too direct,
Yeah.
you know. And I think that once it gets to the point where they've heard enough, they'll shut all this down, and then that'll be it. But
Mhm.
you know, the thing is we're not. I don't think that humans don't understand. Like, you know, we really talk like we talk about, you know, look at our births and all this and stuff, and this is the reason why these things we had to go backtrack through all of this from like everything. It wasn't like we started off with our videos, hey, look, I was born on a certain day and I'm special and all this.
Mhm.
It was not that at all. Like
Right.
it was not that at all. We really, you know, it started with 2017, and
Yeah.
then go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, seeing you have your mind unlocked by an alien while I was standing next to another alien species, which, I don't even know what species. I told you that. I was like, well, it could be reptilian, it could be draconian, but it could be some species that I don't even know about, that's standing next to me. And it would make sense that the government would watch us. And we're not, I mean, like, I know I can speak for myself, and I know you've said this multiple times, like, we're not trying to make this about us. Like, there's information out there that we want to share, and there are portals, and we went to a portal in Utah, and I confirmed the portal. Like, we had missing time, when we were out
There's
there.
just so much to happen in Utah.
And I could, and I say this, I could have lost my family going out there, and there's still a potential for that to happen. So it's kind of like,
Yeah,
this is where we are.
There was a lot to risk for her to go out there. And I don't think people are not giving I don't think they're really giving you the respect and understanding of really what you went through to go out to Utah and everything that happened, and like the whole mind games with the gatekeeper with you and stuff, and the whole thing. And like, I don't think people understand, like, when we tell you this woman said that she worked for the government and said that she does works for the government by doing demonic possession and and marital counseling. And then she also tells us that, yeah, we've had other couples out here, which we're not a couple, but they always bring a male and a female out there looking for these alien portals.
Yeah. And
like, I don't think that they're not understanding, like that's not just somebody who works in, an HR department down at your local, child support agency. We're talking about somebody who told us that, she's her family members are in the Air Force. Her if you see the FEMA people come out here, it's because of her sister-in-law. Like, she told us that FEMA could possibly come out there, and it's because of her sister-in-law, so she wanted to keep things quiet. Like, do you remember that? Like, these things are, it's like, come on, guys. Like,
and then
and it was on government property.
Exactly. And I went looking up because I'm very, like, inquisitive about certain things. And I'm like, I wonder, because I remember saying, I wonder if she really owns those properties. So I went to look them up, and the one that we went to that had the portal was owned by the US government. And that's on the website there. She didn't want anybody. Yes, it's blocked out
on Google Maps where we were at. It's blocked out. You guys can't even see it. It's the government blocks it out on Google Maps, so you can't see it. So that, I mean, come on. What I don't I don't understand the humans why they. Yeah.
Are you at a loss for words right now?
Well, because they listen to Andrew, they eat up Andrew Brasagiago's nonsense. He's got no evidence on anything, and they're like, oh yeah, and he's all over all these shows, and it's like, there's a reason why he's on those shows. They want you to follow him. They want you to listen to his nonsense. He's got no evidence. We present tons of evidence, and nobody, and we're blocked.
And if it makes sense, like, let's go back to the 2022 Anunnaki code. When they talk about the stargates and the Baabs, we went to a stargate or a Baab in Utah. It may not have been active, at least not when we were standing there. And like, when we had missing time, who knows, we could have gone, they could have took us through, because we had instances of weird, what people would call, like, I don't know, alien activity that took place that, like, hit the van and all kinds of stuff.
I was, when I was in the van by myself, and you and the gatekeeper went into town, and that was the first day we were there. And then I heard a knock on the side of the van, like a pebble hit it. And then all of a sudden there was a huge shove, like a linebacker ran into that van. And I knew right then and there something's, because there's nobody, and you can see for miles out there, guys. Nobody can sneak up on you. It's not even possible. I go outside the van. I'm like, okay, here we go. I went out there with my swords, because I'm like, well, I don't know if I have to fight. I don't know what I got. I don't know what I don't know what I don't know what they want from me. and I'm there neutral, and I'm not, and but anyhow, I don't want to really get too much into what happened there. But yeah, look, it is what it is.
It
The
is.
humans, they don't,
I
the humans
mean,
are not listening. They're not listening. They're not paying attention, and they're
because
following a bunch of rabbit trails off the wrong direction.
exactly, because even that one night when it was freezing and we were in the van and the gatekeeper was like, no, I'll stay. And she stayed in her vehicle.
And she hauled ass
And
and went into town that night. Remember?
she did because
She
your
went and stayed in a
van,
hotel room. She was scared.
yeah, your van got hit and her vehicle
Mhm.
got hit. And she was like, I don't want to be out here anymore.
Yeah.
So, and she said that she would go out there and spend the night by herself. Now, I'm, a little, interesting, but I would never spend the night out there by myself. I
Mhm.
don't think any woman would want to do that. That's just my opinion. Now, there might be some women that are like, I would go spend the night. That's fine. But I don't think you would by an old nuclear,
Go on
like
out there.
alien site. I don't think you would. But
Yeah, go for it.
you'd go out there with friends probably, but you would definitely
Mhm.
not go out there by yourself. And
Mhm.
I mean, there was just a lot of weird activity. And here we are today. I mean,
Yeah.
your story goes back to 2017, and then I went back in time. It is possible.
Yeah.
And
Anybody listening right now, you may not know this, but I mean, not you, I'm talking to the people listening. Anybody listening right now, even the government employees, the people who think that they are so sure and they have all the answers and everything like that, in your government, you're listening to me right now, you have no idea what has happened to you. You don't
Mhm.
know if you have already been traveled through a time, like they've
Yep.
abducted you and taken you. It's so basic, it's not even funny. Like, humans do this to animals. They trank them, they knock them out,
Mhm.
they take them away from where they're at. They keep them sedated the whole time. They put them on scales. They check all this stuff. They check their weight. They check all this stuff on them, and then they take the animal back and place them back to where they tranked them, and
Mhm.
then and then the animal starts to wake up, and the humans take off just to make sure that the animal's fine, but they get out of the way, and the animal comes up from this groggy state, and now it's just like, what the hell just happened? But they don't
Right.
know, and they had
Yep.
missing time.
Yep.
They literally
Exactly.
had missing time.
Mhm.
They're like,
And
there was a couple of
everybody,
gazelles over there and an
yes.
elephant over there. Now they're all gone. They had missing
Well,
time.
exactly. It's like, yeah, I was a African elephant, roaming free in the savannah,
Mhm.
putting mud on my back or whatever, because I'm probably not even from this planet. And I know, I'm just joking.
And they
And I
probably don't
ended
even
up in a
remember getting
zoo.
they probably don't even
Yeah.
remember getting a pinch in the ass from the tranquilizer.
No.
Probably
And
don't
this is the
remember
kind,
any of it.
exactly. And most people that are in the conspiracy community, and I use that term loosely because that's pretty much what we've been, this type of stuff's been labeled as, believe that the Greys or some other alien species comes and abducts them at night and takes them back for experiments. I mean, it's not that far fetched to believe, right?
No,
So,
it's not. Yeah, it's happened to most. I'm gonna say, I know some people say, "Oh, there's no way." It's possible. Almost every single person on this
mhm,
planet may have been abducted at one point in time. You don't know
yep.
the capabilities of these other species and other beings and what they can
Mhm.
do. It's very, very possible.
It is.
That they,
And
why is it so important that they need to take a consensus? Why they need to know how many people are actually in this country or in other country stuff? Why is that so important to keep a number count?
mhm, where are they going to go? Like,
Yeah. Where
they're
are you
going to
gonna go?
space.
Yeah, it's so important. They need to know how many people are here.
Mhm. Underground bunkers or whatever they put
Mhm.
people in. They take them, the missing children, and we don't want to get on all those topics. We'll go spiraling out of
Yeah,
control forever.
yeah. I got to get off here anyhow.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. And what do you think we should name this video? Aside from, I hate to cut you off, but
I don't know, but I want to say this real fast. There's two things I want to touch real quick. If you're
Mhm.
in the government and you're listening to our videos and you're listening to our information, please, please, please understand that if you are a human and you're in the government, that we're trying to help you as well. There is no
Mhm.
agenda that me and 1010 have to get anything, to gain anything from you, or to deceive you or to do anything to hurt your species. We're trying to let you know that there's another species that's in complete control of everything that's happening, and the things that you are doing, they're in control of that too. They're watching and monitoring everything that you're doing, the people that you report to, because if anybody who's listened to us in the government, they're reporting what we're saying and what we're doing to somebody else. And that person is reporting to somebody that they'll probably never ever get to know who it is. And that's the other species. And then the other thing I want to say is to everyone else who's not government, look, we don't say like, share, subscribe, give us donations, buy this, buy that. We're not selling you anything. We gain nothing from giving you the information and trying to help you. We literally sacrifice our time and our effort and our energy and research to try to help you understand what's going on to your planet, what's happening to you. And that's it. We're giving, we're not taking.
We enjoy getting subscribers, but we don't need subscribers. We want the information to get out. We want to help.
That's it.
Yeah. That's all. And the little bit that we can
don't
do.
Subscribe, but
well, it's not required.
Yeah, we're not getting monetization. And I've said many, many times on YouTube, I don't want a damn dime from YouTube, by the way. The Jupiter's on that too. But anyhow, we won't get too far into that.
All right. Well,
at least they're letting us use their platform for the time being.
It's true. They probably find it really humorous. They're like, this is just so hilarious. I mean, when the truth can be hilarious to people who are like, well, it doesn't matter because that information will only get out to a select few. And if you found this channel, congratulations.
You're the select few.
You are the select few, along with the government that subscribed. Because I remember telling, X earlier, I was like, who's subscribing to my channel? Like, I'm not really even talking about anything, just certain things that I find to be interesting. You should make a video about it. And it's like, yeah, I'll do that. My theories are a little wild. My hypotheses are a little out there, but it's all about creative thought process too. And there is evidence that supports a lot of this. I don't just pull it from the thin air.
Yeah, you're not saying this is what resonates with me, because I'm getting messages from the Palladians when I'm meditating in front of a bunch of crystal balls and rubbing myself down in peanut butter and sniffing incense and thinking of cat butts. It's not anything like that. Like Indigo Angel, saying that she doesn't have any way to tell you that she can't back up any of her information, but she just gets this information from the cosmos, and it's what resonates with you. Then this is the message you want to hear. Sorry.
Yeah, there has to be there has to be a
something.
Balance, right? There
Gotta
has
have
to
a
be
foundation.
A balance of evidence along with like a higher spiritual awareness. I don't even know how to say it right. You know what I mean?
You got to have a foundation. You have to have a foundation. If you're not giving me any evidence to look at, then we've got no foundation. We can't go anywhere from there. I'm not going to step up on a ladder if it doesn't have any solid ground to sit on. It's just, I'm not going to bother trying to climb those rungs to hear somebody's nonsense if they're not presenting any evidence.
Yeah, because
some evidence, and not just your word, or you're saying that you're getting, somebody speaking to you in remote, because that means you're just being remote controlled.
Exactly. And when someone's speaking to you, you also have to be careful, because we can go back to D-Wave computer technology, right? Yep. And it supposedly can invade your thoughts and your dreams and whatever, and make you have thoughts that are not your own. So how do you know that information is actually
or not malicious? Accurate?
Yeah. And you're spreading disinformation. You're keeping people, because there has to be a balance of both your mind and your spirit, your body, whatever you want. It all has to be balanced out so you can get the full picture. If you're too spiritual, you're not, balanced in reality. Like there has to be like a flow. Now I'm sounding like
that's all right. I got to get off here anyhow.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
I think everybody gets it. Nobody's probably even listening at this point.
It's true. We're listening to ourselves. We'll probably listen to this.
Yeah, I'll listen to this myself. Okay.
All right. Bye.
All right.